What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, RogueWraith, coming at you with an Apex Legends video. This one, Advanced Look Controls, ALCs. The pros, they are switching off those classic settings. They're getting frisky. They finally sat down, took the time to learn the ALCs, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. Everybody's going to tell you my settings are the best. These ALCs will give you AIMBOT. Don't listen to it. Honestly, for the love of God, please don't listen to it. If you're going to take anything away from this video, it's going to be how to transfer your classic settings over into advanced look controls and then how to fine tweak yours. I'm never going to be one who's going to push my settings on you because they're the best settings in the game. No, it's customized. It's to your personal preference, and that's what you need to take away from this video. Are my settings good? Yes, for me, they are. I'm going to show you my settings. If you want to turn to them, great. It's a great starting spot for a lot of people, but at the same time, it might be a little too fast, might be a little too slow. But that's up to for you to decide. So we're going to dive into the video. As always, if you appreciate the content, like the video. It helps us get into those recommendeds. Subscribe, turn on the post notification bell so you never miss another upload from your boy. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay beautiful, stay healthy. Most importantly, peace and bless. And your boy Rogue. Let's dive into it. All right, y'all, so we're going to dive into the gameplay settings first. Everything is timestamped down in the description below, so if you want to just skip ahead to a certain point, feel free. There's only a few things in the gameplay that I want to touch base on. Why? Because a lot of this is personal preference, but I'm going to, slowly scroll through here. I'm going to show you everything, so if you want to copy them, feel free. But things that you want to look out for, okay? And this is, again, this is personal preference, and you might find this other way. But weapon auto cycle on empty. I actually have this set to off, because I don't like when I go to run out of ammo, I automatically, in my mind, switch on my own. And what this is doing by having it off is I'm not double switching and I'm gonna have that old weapon out. Yes, does it help because it's automatically gonna switch for me? Yeah, but a lot of times I was just double switching. That's why I have that off. Auto sprint, again, if you wanna walk, just crouch walk. Auto sprint on, I don't have to think about it. Yes, maybe it'll make you a better play in the long run, but whatever, keep this thing on, let the auto sprint take control. If you play Valkyrie, I highly recommend this one on hold because it gives you a little bit more control. There's less inputs that you have to have. Damage, ping opacity, faded. I hate when my pings and my teammates' banners are just directly in my way. Faded will that kind of go off to the wayside. Yeah, sometimes it's harder for you to see it unless you're looking directly at them, but again, isn't the gameplay everything? Come on. Other things, taking damage closes death box or crafting menu. You want this off, okay? If you want to shield swap and shield swap like a god, this has to be off, okay? Turn it off, okay? Just trust me, turn it off. Moving down into here, I am not colorblind, okay? But in order to make the game, you want to know why games usually look a lot more crystal clear. It's not necessarily because of PC, okay? It is, but it isn't, right? But Tritanopia makes everything a little bit more saturated. It changes the color a little bit and makes the reticles, okay, your actual aiming down sights, right? It makes it yellow rather than red. This to me is a little bit easier to see on somebody's body. Again, it might not be for everybody, but this is why my game looks a little bit different than everybody else's. Okay, those are the main ones that I would highly recommend changing and just kind of feeling out for yourself. Mouse and keyboard. Okay, we're getting away from that. I can play mouse and keyboard, but we're not going into that. That's for a completely different video. Audio. Okay, audio. This will look different depending on what platform that you're on, but again, it applies to everything. The sound effects needs to be at 100. Okay, that is your footsteps, that is your gunshots, 100. But if people are a little too loud, turn down your dialogue. Okay, I put this about 50%. Music volume 25, lobby music 50. I don't need to hear all that extra stuff at the full volume. I want my sound effects, my gunshots, my footsteps to be as loud as you can. Have this at 100. Okay, master volume 100. You want this, trust me. Video, don't worry about this. We'll probably get into this in another video for all my PC players out there that can kind of go in, and I'll explain how to set this up to get the most efficient FPS possible, but basically everything's on low. Now, the best ALC settings, right? Okay, button layout, personal preference. I personally play on a scuff, so I have this thing set up a little bit different because I have paddles. I've played without paddles in the past. I've played claw, I've played ninja and evolved, all work out, but this is personal preference. Figure out what you want. Button jumper was the way I went when I was playing claw. This was the best thing for me. All right, in here, crouch to hold, that's what I have. Survival slot, I turned this off because I like to inspect my weapon. I don't twirl my heirlooms because I don't have any other than Bangalore's. Thank you, community. And then my trigger dead zones. Just to explain this real quick, really quickly. Trigger dead zones. If I pull the trigger at the same exact time as you do, and you have this set to anything other than none, my gun will go off before yours. I promise you that, okay? Set this to none. Unless you have a really wonky trigger, this should be none. And if you have a wonky trigger, well, you might want to look into a different controller, just saying. Menu cursor speed for fast shield swaps. You want to be playing with this. For a long time, I was just playing with it right about here. It got to be a little bit too slow. I have bumped this up a good ways. It just helps with those quick shield swaps. I highly recommend this. Now, this is where it gets interesting, okay? This gets interesting. Vibration, off. Inverted look, off. Movement dead zone, small. But this look sensitivity, okay? Inside of your advanced look controls, right? You normally look at something like this. For a lot of people, movement, everybody wants to prioritize that. But on controller, you want fine aim. You want to make sure that you're as crystal clear and as smooth as possible, okay? The slower the aim, typically, the better it is, okay? You need to find a nice happy medium to this. So what a lot of people would like to play on, 5-3, 4-3, 6-3, 6-4, okay? We're going to talk about all that and how to convert it over. But as you can see here, you have 1 to 8. We're going to talk about what all those settings are inside of the ALCs. You can skip ahead right now if you want to just dive directly into that. Response curves, we've made different videos on the different ones. Classic, steady, not fine aim. Don't fine aim, high velocity. Don't do it. Don't do it. Trust me. Classic and linear are the best options. Steady is a little too clunky, okay? It's gonna feel really good for long distance shooting, but up close, you're gonna be losing your gunfights. Again, I made all these videos. They're gonna be going up here right about now, so you can, click on them back and just check them out, okay? So highly recommend playing on classic or linear. Those would be the ones I would recommend, but advanced look controls. All this stuff gets overwhelming. We've covered dead zone, outer threshold, response curve. We covered that in a different video. We'll talk about it briefly. Dead zone is the stick input, okay? When you go to aim, if your stick is moving, you have a bunch of stick drift, you want to increase the dead zone, okay? I play with this about a 5. It's a nice fine line. I don't have any stick drift, nothing like that. And if you play closer to linear, you're going to feel more and more stick drift based on where your dead zone is set, okay? The default is about right here, right about 16. I do not recommend it. I would bump this down to at least 7, okay? And see where you go from there. Outer threshold is the outer limits, okay? If you extend your analog stick all the way out, that is gonna be the maximum input. At 1% is the farthest you can go. Just drop this all the way down. This, everybody should tell you 1%. Your response curve, okay? This is where you have classic or linear. Classic would be a 10, okay? It's a nice fine balance. Really slow at the beginning, and then towards the end, it gets faster and faster. Linear, it is just a straight ramping all the way up, okay? That is what you're gonna be having at linear. And then I have a nice little 5, okay? It's basically linear, but has a little bit more fine aim in there for the initial kick, okay? It slows it down just a little bit. Now, yaw speed. Yaw, left, right. Pitch, up, down. We got all that out of the way? Great, okay? Because that applies to everything. These numbers right here, okay? 375, 280. This is what we're gonna be adjusting and how we can convert your default settings over to advanced look controls, okay? This is where it gets complicated for a lot of people. They don't even know where to begin, okay? So because we're going from 1 to 8, essentially what we have there is a set of numbers, okay? You divide it up, 5, this goes all the way up to 500, okay? Divide that number out by 7, okay? By 7? Yeah, by 7. You divide that number out, and that is the amount of room and amount of range that you're gonna have, okay? And a lot of my videos and a lot of the live streams, and I do live stream 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday from 7:30 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Twitch. Link is in the description. Make sure to check that out along with all my other socials. Okay, I used to say I play on a 6.5 or 3.5, and this is why inside of advanced look controls, you can adjust it accordingly. So what are we looking at here? If you've played on a 1, you are ranging between 0 and 62.5. Okay, I say 0.5, you're not going to be able to set a 0.5 in here, but okay, it's besides the point. Besides the point, you have the range in here, okay? It rounds up to fine, to even numbers and odd numbers, to whole numbers, okay? 2, if you play on a 2 sensitivity, I don't know if anybody does, but if you do, 62.5 out to 125, okay? Everything is gonna be linked in here, not linked, but popping up, right? 3, 125 to 187.5, 4, 187.5 to 250, 5 sensitivity, 250 to 312.5, 6, 312.5 to 375, 7, 375 to 437.5, and 8 sensitivity, you're looking from 437.5 out to 500. Okay, those are the ranges. Obviously, the low number, the lowest of the low, is where it basically just starts. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out where you need to be, if you want to be in 1, you want to be in that range. It starts at 1. The lowest of the low is 1, and it goes all the way out to 2. And then you start low. Okay, you know how numbers work, right? I don't have to explain that. Great. Okay, so if you're looking right now, you're playing on a 5-4. Okay, you're playing on a 5-4 sensitivity. You want to be playing at 250 on the yaw speed. Okay, 250. Pitch speed is going to be also 250, but I'm explaining why I lowered everything. Okay, and then your ADS speed, this also goes out to 500, but naturally it's lower. I said you want to be at a 5.3. Your 3 is going to start at 125. Okay, and it's going to go out. Here is my rule of thumb. This is what people won't explain. You don't need a lot of up and down. You don't need a lot of pitch. You don't. Okay, so don't make it as high. You want a little bit more control over everything. Okay, so my rule of thumb is I try to drop this pitch speed down by a full numerical value. Full numerical. So if I have a normal sense at 6, I'm dropping it down to a 5 on my pitch. Okay, that is going to allow you a little bit more control when it comes to hip firing. When it comes to looting, it's just going to slow down ever so slightly. Okay, so right here on my yaw speed, I'm at 375. Okay, that is at the upper echelon of the 6 range, of a 6 sensitivity. I'm about to break into 7. Okay, right here I dropped down into my pitch. I lowered that a full number. I went from 375 down to 280. That is about a 5.5. Okay, if I wanted this to be perfectly even, I would jump this up to, I don't know, let's say 312, roughly 300, 310. I don't want that. Okay, this is, again, when it comes to fine adjustments, this is where you have to be playing with. Same thing, ADS speed. I dropped this down 1 full numerical value. And again, all this is something that you can play with. I'm going to explain how and why you would be tweaking things in a certain direction. Okay, so your ADS 150, this is 110. That essentially correlates to about 3.5, okay, in the yaw speed, and then 110. This is dropping down and actually into 2. You don't need a lot of this. You are more horizontal than anything. You want to set these up accordingly to your personal preference and then work off of that. This ADS extra yaw, this is just how fast. As soon as you've reached that maximum input, it's going to give you extra speed. Fun fact, 8 sensitivity is as high as you can ever go inside of Apex Legends. It doesn't get any faster. If you maxed everything out, it's not going to do anything different than if I just max my yaw and my pitch across the board. Even if I have all these up, it's not going any faster. It's not. Okay, fun fact for you. There you go. This ADX turning ramp up time and delay, none of this should ever be on. You don't want, especially if you have this extra turn, this extra pitch, extra yaw, you don't want it to be delayed at all. Okay, you don't want it to be delayed. If it's at 0, there's no extra time. You bump this all the way up to 100, it's a lot extra time in order for it to actually take effect. These should always be off. Okay, hopefully that explains everybody's questions. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section and I will answer them. So how can we adjust these? Okay, well, I play on this normally. How can I adjust them? How can I improve my sensitivity, right? So we're in the firing range real quick, right? A lot of the times, right, you can just start aiming at people. This is great, fantastic. I'm hitting all my shots in the firing range on a stationary dummy. Great. Okay, but when you get into the game, this is where a little bit of personal play style comes into account, right? So when you're snapping on people, okay, and you're taking these shots, even in the firing range, if I go to snap, right, and I'm snapping short, you want to increase your sensitivity. When you snap long of somebody, it's a little too fast. You can just slow it down a little bit. Okay, same thing with your aim. If you feel like you are not being able to track somebody nearly as well, right, if they're running, okay, if you're tracking a little too fast, slow it down. If you're tracking too slow, speed it up. Okay, that is where you can hit these fine aim shots. Okay, when it comes to flicks, this is the tricky part. When it comes to flicking with the wingman, that's why everybody's like, how can you actually use the wingman? Well, for the most part, you're snapping on somebody with your ADS, your normal hip fire, your normal look sense, right? And then as I'm zooming in, once I get close to somebody, that's when I'm actually hitting it. Okay, that is the tricky part that you have to kind of learn and figure out how to adjust your sense accordingly. But that's why everybody is different. That's why you can't say my settings are the best, because they're not going to be. Okay, they're not. That's just the fact of the matter. Okay, that's how you adjust them. If you're snapping, again, if you're snapping too far, slow it down. If you're not snapping enough, speed it up ever so slightly. Fine tune these to your liking. One thing I did not touch on in the advanced look controls is these per optic settings. Okay, the way this works, okay, is truly multiplying it. Okay, it's 1x, 2x. This is the numerical value you're multiplying it by. In the classic look controls, it would be a 3, a 4, a 5. Okay, setting it that way. This is actually multiplying those numbers that you have set by this value. So your 1 to 2, your 1 times optics, your iron sights, I have that just set at 1 every single time. To my 1.2, or my 2 times optics, I increase to 1.2. My 3 times optics, I do 1.2, because that allows me to move a little bit faster and my tracking can keep up a little bit more effectively. Okay, everything else, I just bump that up again, 1.4 the rest of the way. I don't use those sights ever because they just slow you down, they hinder you, and it just takes way too long to zoom in. But those are the advanced look controls. I explained it as best I can. I don't mean to ramble on and ramble on and ramble on, so I'm gonna cut this as much as I can. I hope everybody appreciates the content. That is it for me. I'll let a little bit of the gameplay play out with the new settings. I was just back on vacation, brand new settings, just turned these on. This is what I've been using. We'll throw some highlights in there. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of your day. Have a good one.
Let's go be it.
I'm gonna get 4K with Watson here.
You got this. Someone's self-resing. Or maybe resing. I don't know. Nice. You're right. Yep, Spitfire's good, y'all. Spitfire's good.
Yo, get absolutely turned on.
Goal achieved.
I think they're on the roof.
Yeah, they're above us.
Obi. I'd like to say I hit every shot, but I didn't.
I got
Get
dropped down.
inside! Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! Let me in!
Sucks, man.
Back up! Back up!
I'm alive! No
One more.
shot!
I'm resing.
No shot!
There's no way we're alive.